Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Fact versus Fiction. I'm Radhika and Jency is back. Hi Jency.
Hi Radhika.
Nice to have you here with us and we're discussing a very interesting story today. अगर आप social media पे हैं तो one thing perhaps you haven't escaped. There's this story doing the rounds about Best in Mumbai getting its first female bus driver. So this young lady is 24-year-old Pratiksha Das और इन पे पहली story की गई by Bombay Times and this was on the 8th of July. इसके बाद there were several other publications including the midday.com and also Asian Age which have put out articles saying that this young lady is actually the first woman best bus driver in the city. That's how the story is being shared very, very widely. But and of course, also Jency, I think when there are gender stereotypes being broken, it should be celebrated, definitely. But in this case, we know that these publications have got it horribly wrong. And Jency, you will tell us exactly why.
So yes, every time these kind of gender stereotypes are actually completely broken, you should celebrate it.
Yeah.
Which I guess was the intention why probably Bombay Times and all these newspapers wrote those stories. You can understand the excitement in a newsroom when the reporter comes to you and says that here's a lady or a very young girl who's actually going to drive a BST bus. And BST bus is iconic in a city like Bombay. It's iconic. It stands out. And the moment you see a picture like that, any editor or any person who's on the desk would actually give it a very flowering headline, and that's what has happened here. So everyone gave this headline saying that she's the first BST woman bus driver, but the fact is that it's not true. She's actually a mechanical graduate. She's excited about driving and she wants to drive heavy vehicles. So she went to the BST and they have this training school model, and private individuals can enroll. You and I can also enroll if you're interested. And she went and enrolled, and she said that because she's interested to be an RT officer. Now these details I'm taking from the story itself. Because she wanted to be an RT officer, she wanted the experience of driving a heavy vehicle, and that's why she went and got herself trained along with these BST bus drivers who were actually quite worried about whether she can do it, but she took to it completely, and she went and she drove out on the roads and she passed the test with flying colors. So that's the basic story. The fact that a young girl decides to actually go and do something that probably no one else has attempted in the city. But definitely there are other women drivers in the city, who are actually driving buses, private buses, and probably school buses. But
and
this is probably
PRO has also confirmed this.
Yes, so in fact, that's what we did. We called the BST bus, the BST PRO, and we spoke to him and we asked him and we said, is this true? Is she going to be your first woman driver? And he said no, not at all. All those who've written the stories, they've all got it wrong. They've all misunderstood what we were trying to say through this. And I'm assuming that they would have sent out a press release and said that she's actually a very young girl to probably train under us and do this. And in fact, the PRO himself says that there are many other women drivers who are already driving buses in the city, maybe not the best buses at all. So he's already clarified that this has nothing to do with it. She's definitely not an employee, and this shows and I really feel bad about the fact that how reporters and the entire collective editorial desk could get it wrong, so horribly wrong.
So that brings me to my next question. Now once we started sort of reaching out to these publications and trying to get a comment on versus what the PR person had told us, the official quote that they got their story wrong, we started seeing that changes were being made to the copies that were online. So article change kar diya gaya once it was pointed out. But Jency, as an editorial organization, is it not important to cite a reason, why you're changing things which many people would have already read?
Radhika, this is one horrible mistake to make. And any editor or any newsroom would actually be very troubled by the fact that a story like this went on their publication or on their website. But the moment we started getting in touch with some of them, there was that resistance. Okay, who are you? Why should we talk to you? Why are you fact checking us? But when we explained to them, saying that you got the story completely wrong, and your headlines are wrong, and it's actually creating a buzz on social media where people are celebrating her, which she should be celebrated, but for the right reasons.
Absolutely.
And so Midday actually quietly changed the story, and they made some modifications in the story. In fact, they also went on Twitter and said that they've, after speaking to the PRO, they made the change. But the question you were asking me, what's a good editorial practice? you put an editor's note there and you put a correction and you say that, you know, our headline, we got it wrong. And there's nothing wrong, or you know, there's nothing shameful about admitting that probably you got something wrong. You know, why don't you do that upfront?
If anything, that gives you more credibility.
Yes, and that's why probably the readers like to come back to you, because they know that if you get it wrong, you will also correct it.
Right, right. Okay, so that's a good point to note, guys. But for the moment, you know, the entire celebration, the buzz that was created on social media in this case seemed to be for the wrong reasons. With that, we'll wrap up this edition of Fact versus Fiction. You do know our helpline number, and that's the number on your screen where you send us messages that you're seeing on your social media timelines, पर उनकी credibility पे आपको doubt है. For the moment, thank you for joining in.